runs right around what, about $1,700, $1,800?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark. If you go to what I consider to be an enterprise class version of that, now you've purchased the X330, and basically you've added about $1,000 to the cost of the system. But now you've gained hot swap disks. You've also added a RAID, hardware RAID controller, so your disk I/O is going to be tons better. You've also added the IBM ASM processor, which is their advanced server management chip. Basically, it's a computer within your computer. It's on a separate power grid, and basically it's the one that monitors the health of your CPU, the heat, the speed of your fans, and whether or not all your disks are online, that kind of stuff. And you can access that health monitoring chip through the serial port. So, you can connect to the chip, basically get a little login prompt, and then you can say, hey, I'm going to power the box on, I'm going to power it up, I want to reboot it, I want to see what CPU number 2 is doing. Did one of these systems fail? Is one of my memories, one of my SIMs offline? So that to me is a heck of a lot more enterprise ready than the native X300, which has no brains at all. It's basically just a dumb PC. So, and when you consider like remote geographic administration of your systems, having better eyes and ears and ability to control that box is really important. So again, is Linux ready for the enterprise? Well, how about is your hardware ready for the enterprise? That's another big question you have to answer too. So, questions, comments? Anybody have a personal opinion on whether Linux is ready? Yes.
I have no opinion because I come from the world of Microsoft. But
is Microsoft ready for the enterprise?
Believe it or not, it's there. So, who's actually running enterprises on Linux?
Well, if you ask IBM, they've got a number of partners up in Europe that are, German Telecom or somebody who's running Linux slices on an S390. They've also got other European vendors, and I really can't comment as to who's doing it locally. What's that? You? Google? Or Slashdot? Aren't they, that's pretty enterprise.
Slashdot?
Yeah,
How many employees do they have?
Well, it's not so much the employees, but they definitely have, the enterprise characteristics.
I know, for example, that ISPs love Linux.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but they only love it in the right places. Again, they use it in parts of their enterprise. They don't use it in all the places.
Well, Google runs it on their search.
all the ISPs I've
We
got.
talk about replacing NT servers.
These are nickel and dime on the top. They love.
Samsung 10,000 months.
Excuse me?
Google runs their search.
If you got
with 1,000.
As a primary domain controller, they have done that.
We haven't done it. No.
To replace like an NT file server, you can log on to have an actual like an NT domain. And you
Like we've done everything up to having it be a primary domain controller.
Yeah.
The problem that I've always perceived with that is that you've always got Microsoft throwing roadblocks at you, because every time they release a new version, there's a lag with Samba that they've got to catch up, or they've changed their security model, where now the Samba server doesn't fit anymore. So now, as the rest of your enterprise rolls out Windows XP, now you're stuck with a Samba server that you've got to decommission while you figure out what's going on, and now they're redeploying the
It's Microsoft size stack.
She's also the principal.
I really can't comment on that stuff either. We've done it in on the underground side, not part of the actual company infrastructure, but like maybe in a lab where you've got 10 developers who just need access to their Windows laptop or something like that. There we've done that, but we haven't done part of the place. Others have. You read about it.
We've done it for like 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed at a company last week that, thank you.
How many days in counting have you been out?
I'm over in 9 months. Wow. Next week is 9 months of unemployment for me. And this is my 4th interview. 9 months. But they have a cluster of 25 FreeBSD boxes with 1 gigabit connection between them, doing heavy computational stuff. It's not, it's their own clustering, their own clustering group, and they've been very happy with it. Because not only does it cost less, but it costs a lot less to scale in smaller increments.
One product that I obviously forgot to mention when we talked about Linux clustering is Beowulf. Beowulf clustering is very hot in the Linux spectrum. Especially when you talk about like science computing things that are very large and for math type related things. I really don't want to get into it. It's a very complex subject, and we've had other discussions that went on for 2 hours. We talked about Fable below. So
We've had
that's a topic.
Fable who runs a Fable cluster here at MIT, comes in and talks about it every year or so. We'll get Kurt back.
NASA runs Beowulf clusters. I think there's another guy who runs Beowulf clusters with any PC he can find. Takes any junk machine he can find, adds it to his Beowulf cluster. So, you know, there are supercomputers based on junk, and then there's supercomputers based
It
on...
has to be MIT Fremont with a big cargo van.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Kickstart piece.
They need the cycles.
Yeah.
They need cycles.
So go ahead and hit the home button and bring up the Kickstart thing. All right, so in the same theme of Linux in the enterprise, in my opinion, anything that's running in your enterprise needs to be installed in simple, repeatable, unintended fashion. So that if I've got to roll out 100 boxes, I don't have to sit there and answer questions on 100 boxes to get the operating system to install. Windows seems to have mastered this with a product called Ghost. I'm not familiar with that. I don't, maybe SMS.
I've used Ghost before. If you're moving between disks that are different sizes or different letter sizes, you can end up with a lot of problems.
And that's why a lot of enterprise shops lock down what you can purchase for desktop hardware. They say you get to buy the IBM, I don't know, the IBM 600, which is now a 2-year-old box, but that's the only thing you can buy because that's what they had in the box. So, you know, that's the way they manage that end of it. I don't know if SMS allows you to do it, but I'm going to look at that. I don't really comment on it. So, all right, so what are we going to do here? Same disclaimer as before. This is all personal experience, yada, yada, yada. You need to be responsible. Okay, what is Kickstart? It's a program designed by Red Hat, I believe. They continue to fund the product. It's distributed with all distributions of Red Hat. I think it was introduced somewhere around Red Hat 4 or 5. And even though it wasn't really usable in Red Hat 4 or 5, at least, you know, the groundbreaking was there. With the Red Hat 7.2 release, the current version of Kickstart, also known as Anaconda, which is the installer, in my opinion, is very robust, offers a lot of flexibility in the types of installations you can do, and also offers very good customizability. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at Kickstart, kind of answer some questions about what it is, what it does. We're talking about how to configure it, and then we'll also look at the sample config files, and then we're going to do a live demonstration. Ooh. Okay, next screen.
How does this integrate into the enterprise concept?
Oh, okay, good question. Good question. How does this integrate in your enterprise? Well, like I said, if you're working for a company that likes to deploy thousands of systems at a time, this fits right in with that factory concept where you take a box and put it all together, or you have your vendor put it all together, shows up at the doorstep, and in theory, attach it to the network, pop in a floppy, turn on power, 10 minutes later, it's done building. Take it out, you ship it off to your customer.
You have a desktop, I would say.
What's that?
You have a desktop.
Desktop, server, you name it. The Kickstart is flexible enough that you define what packages, how the disks get partitioned, what type of configuration you want to run, what daemon start, what daemon stop. I mean, it's all, power is in your hands to make the system look like whatever you want it to be. So that's the nice piece. And you can create Kickstart configurations. You know, if you're deploying IBM WebSphere servers, you can make a Kickstart configuration unique to that. And then, you know, if the customer calls you, you know, at a little location and says, I want to build a WebSphere server, you can ship them a floppy in the mail, provided they have access to the internet or network or somewhere where you've made your package. They can build box remotely because Kickstart has the ability to work over the network. It has the ability to work from CD-ROM. You can build a Kickstart file on a floppy and build your box from the CD-ROM, yet you'll get the same thing that you get from CD-ROM as you do from your network. And Kickstart builds your box. It's like a fingerprint of your hardware, of the operating system you put on there. And
Is it interoperable? Can you essentially package Windows desktops, replicate?
no.
It has to be Linux?
Well, it doesn't have to be Linux. It has to be RPM based. And most of the formatting of the file systems, everything else is, you know, all geared towards ext3, or I think you can probably format it with BFAT or something. But you know, it's all RPM based.
I have a real life problem. I have a network I'm taking care of where clients keep downloading viruses along the way.
Yep.
It's just a pain in the neck setting them up all the time.
That's a perfect reason for remote Linux. You left that one open. Sorry. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not a Windows administrator. I don't know what the right answer is for how do you manage Windows installations.
But whatever.
I think isn't there a remote installation server or something for Windows?
Well, yeah, it comes with 2000.
With 2000, yeah.
Maybe you could use.
Or SMS, you know, like an SMS thing. But we're talking about an organization with maybe 30 now.
Oh.
Give it a try.
One possible solution is you can make well, if you're talking about HPFS, again, all bets are off. You know, high performance file system, the whole Windows NT file system. Yeah, NTFS. If you take that, if you put that in the picture, all bets are off. I don't know anything about what you can do. But if you're still using, you know, regular MS-DOS FAT file systems underneath, you can hook up that box, you know, mount it up to a server and have a Linux box do a tar dump for that. And then basically create your image that way. And then save that. And if your system crashes, you reformat it with DOS and then you dump your tar back and you're ready to go again. You could possibly even DD the disk, but that would require you to take the disk out and install it in a Linux box. I really don't have any good answers for you.
That's where you want your box because you hardware.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, the DD thing will work over the network. That's basically what it manages.
Right, but you have to. I think you have to install like the Unix kit for NT that allows you to do that. I mean, the point here is that he's got Windows machines running. He's trying to figure out how he can
Windows client.
do Windows clients.
You can actually do that often today. Normally, single floppy Linux boots, like the Linux Router project has a sub 1 or a toggles root boot.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Take a single floppy version of Linux. Boot the box. Have it, you know, if it has enough smarts to get on the network, then it could dump your hard disk to a remote server. And then basically you can store the images for that system, and then if you have to restore it, you again use the same floppy and then just copy your stuff back to your hard drive. That might be a good answer. All right.
It's
let's move on. I don't want to go to Google.
TOMS.net/RBK.
Come on. Let's all right. Page 2. We'll go to Tom's root boot in just a second. Next one. We got about 45 minutes, and we still got to do the demo and also basically touch on the RAID tools. All right, I've already answered the question of what Kickstart does. If you're from the Sun world, it's the same thing as the Jumpstart. Configurations is different, options are different, but the concept is the same. For the AX world, makes this be. All right, supported techniques for Kickstart. Again, I already mentioned that you can build your systems over an NFS shared directory on the network. You can do it from CD-ROM. You can do it from another hard drive on your system, provided all the RPMs are on the box.
And it does have to be another physically separate hard drive. It can't be a partition on the hard drive you're installing on your.
Yeah. Or you can also do it from what they call a URL, which is FTP or HTTP server. Okay. So moving right along. So you asked about why do I want to do this? And I've already kind of answered this. Well, because it's quick and easy. It also encourages standards within your organization. It also, you know, in the event of a disaster recovery, this could make the disaster recovery a lot easier. Because a lot of times what you're paying for with these high-end backup products is you're buying into the, I need some way to get that initial system load on there so I can restore the rest of my data. Well, if the bare metal restore your operating system can be done from your Kickstart server, you know, oh, my system's lost, 5 minutes with the floppy disk, base system's back, now I can just use dump and restore to get my application back on the box. So, this could be the solution for your backups. And also, like I mentioned, it's also customizable. Okay, next piece. All right, so how do you create the Kickstart file? Kickstart file is a text file. It has a format. IBM's got their little book. IBM, Red Hat's got their little book.